Hey there guys, welcome back for another Warhammer Imperium playthrough. So this week we are looking or playing the issue 4 playthrough, which is the Necron Destroyers versus the Space Marines. So we've got 3 Assault Intercessors and a Primaris Lieutenant. We've got 3 Necron Destroyers and a Plasmacite. Now the idea of this is for the Plasmacite to exit along this board edge. Obviously the Space Marines have got to destroy them. If the Space Marines manage to destroy the Plasmacite, they win. If the Necrons destroy the Space Marines or the Plasmacite gets off, the Necron wins. We are focusing on melee combat only, so weapons, pistols, guns and that do not work. Primaris Lieutenant ran out of charges, and the other 3 Assault Intercessors have been going through their ammo and have run out of that, so it's down to chainswords and power swords. As for chainswords and power swords, we're not counting them as those, they are just standard melee weapons, and the same for the Necrons. You've got 2 with these double blades and then 1 with the larger single blade, just straight up melee weapons, and the same with the Plasmacite. So get the dice tray just a little bit out of the way here. So you can get down there. Starting with the Space Marines turn. Apologies for the camera, we are missing a little bit of the board down here. I can only get the camera up to a certain height. So yeah, I can't fit everything in. Apologies for that, guys. But what we're going to do is move 6 inches forward with each Space Marine except this one. I'm going to leave him back as a defense for the Plasmacite, but I do want to tie up the Scorpec Destroyers so that they can't obviously try and rush the Marines. So get my dice. Right, starting from the bottom, we're going to have each model or each Space Marine charge the Destroyers. So for charging, we roll 2 dice, add them together, and as long as we roll higher than the distance between the 2 models, the charge is successful. So 12 inches is definitely more than what I've got between the 2 models down here. So they enter melee combat. Now I am going to move them up just a little bit so we can get them on camera. They are supposed to obviously be on the letter down here, but you guys can now see. So next up we're going to do it for these guys, and 9, I'm pretty sure that's more than or less than 9 inches. We can see there that we are a little over 5 inches, so there we go. And the same for the Primaris Lieutenant and the Necron at the top. Ooh, a 3. So as we know, a 3 is not enough to make the distance. It only puts us halfway, so the charge fails. He does not move at all, and that is the Space Marines charge phase over. Next we go into the combat phase, and for that we've got this Marine starting first. So they get 2 attacks and they need 3 or more as defined on the data sheet. I'll show you guys this so that you guys can see how to read them. So we are the Assault Intercessors. We've got the WS, which is their weapon skill. So this is how good they are with their melee weapons. A BS does not stand for what you think it stands for, you naughty people. It stands for ballistic skill. And obviously, because we're not using shooting weapons, there is no BS here at the minute. They have 2 wounds and 2 attacks. So this is for their melee. So they get 2 attacks with their melee, hitting on a 3 or more. The Scorpec Destroyers then save on a 3 or more. Okay, so for the guy down at the bottom first, he fails to hit with the 1 but succeeds with the 5. The Destroyer now needs to save with a 3 or more, and he fails. Ooh. Now the Destroyers have 3 wounds, so he's now down to 2 wounds, which obviously I mark working my way down just how I like to do it. So he's now down to 2 wounds. So next up, we are going to do this Space Marine against the Destroyer, and both hit, so successfully hit him there. And let's see if the Necron saves. Oh, and again a failed save. So he succeeds on 1, so he loses 1 wound, so he's down to 2 wounds. And that there is the end of the Space Marines phase. So we are going to start with our movement phase, and we won't need to, well, we can move. We'll move the Scorpec Destroyer. Now remember, you have to stay 1 inch away, so we're only going to be able to move in 4 inches, but it gets them close enough to be able to charge in the next phase. And the Plasma Sight is going to advance. So remember guys, for advancing you roll 1d6 and you add it to the movement. So he can move 8 inches and he will move an additional 5. So if my maths is terrible, that should be 13. So he can move 13 inches. So I'm going to measure up 14 here on the tape measure, and obviously move up to the 13. So it gets them right in between. Oh, in between the combat that is going on here. So that's the end of the movement phase. Now we're going to move into the charge phase, where we will have this Destroyer charge the Lieutenant. And as you can see, that's successful. He's only just over 1 inch away. So there, straight into combat. We are also, oh no, we are on the Necron's turn, so that's fine. So because we charged, we'll start at the top here with this Destroyer, and then we will work our way down. Now the reason I work starting with the charge is because when we learn more rules, you'll get an attack for both players. At the moment we're just using the whoever's turn it is gets an attack, but eventually we'll learn both. So I always start with the charge and then come down through my Necrons and then go the other way, unless, if I remember right, the rules may say that you do this guy, then this guy, then the next combat, then the next combat, in which case you always start with the ones that charged first. So here, then the Lieutenant would go, and so on. But obviously we're just doing a turn at the minute. So the Scorpec Destroyers are pretty darn handy with their weapons. They actually get 3 attacks each, and they again wound on a 3+, just like the Space Marines. So starting at the top here, we've got 1 fail and 2 successful hits, and the Space Marine saves on a 3+. Oh, he loses a wound, so the Lieutenant has taken a wound. And he starts with 5 wounds, so he's now down to 4. Now obviously we've got a red side and a green side on these. I'm using the green sides just so it shows up a little bit better on camera for you guys. Right, so that is that bit of combat done. Moving down here, we've got the central combat. So again, 3 attacks, 1 fails, he rolled a 2, and then the other 2, a 5 and a 4, both succeed. And so the Space Marine needs to save on a 3 or more. And he fails both of them. That is not looking good for that Marine. He has 2 wounds, so he loses 1 wound for each fail. Means he is dead. So bye bye Marine. May the Emperor guide your soul. Right, final bit of combat down here. So again, Scorpec Destroyer gets 3 attacks. Knock the mic there, sorry for that guys. And there we go, 1 attack succeeded, 2 fails. So this Marine should be a little bit more lucky. Even if he fails, he'll still be alive. And there we go, a success, so he's saved. And that there brings us to the end of the Necron's turn. So obviously if you're following through the playthrough, it now tells you to go back to step 1 for the Space Marines. Or I think it says start again, but it doesn't actually mean reset up, it just means it's now the Space Marine's turn. So seeing as this Space Marine is already in combat, and this Space Marine is already in combat, we've got this guy. Now I'm not going to attack the destroyer because the better objective is to destroy the plasma site. So I'm going to move my 6 inches up the board, and then I am going to charge. And remember, to charge we roll 2d6 and pray that we get higher than what we need. And with 7 inches we just about make it. We're just under 6 inches away, so that puts him right into melee combat with the plasma site. Now you'll notice there is a bit of a gap between the two. That doesn't matter as long as you are within that 1 inch of base. That is fine. The reason they say within 1 inch is for this exact example. The plasma site has this little thing sticking out, which obviously is hitting the Marine. They can't get close enough. I could turn them sideways, but that is fine. It counts as base to base contact or in combat. So moving over to the combat phase, start with the charge. 2 attacks on the plasma site. Both succeed. Now the plasma site has 1 wound and saves on a 4+. Here we go. Could be the end here. And he failed both of them. Plasma site is dead. Space Marines win. And this is actually the 3rd time I've played through this, guys. And the plasma site dies every time. As strong as the Scorpex are, that plasma site needs better protecting. So, you know, something to learn if you're playing as the Necron army, especially in the later games when we've got a bunch of models. The plasma site, although obviously he's not going to be a lose condition, he's not that great. I think he's a free choice. If you take the 3 Scorpex, you get the plasma site maybe, or he's cheap and just take him anyway. But otherwise you don't want to spend the points. I wouldn't bother with him personally. That's me. But yeah. So that is the end of the game, guys. Obviously you could carry on and do the other 2 combats just to get used to them. But essentially Space Marines have won. And like I said, this is the 4th game I've played and they just win every time they beat the plasma site. You could keep the plasma site back here and just try and keep the Space Marines tied up with the destroyers. But obviously you can fall back when it's the Space Marines' turn and try and push past with all your Marines and just try and ignore and survive being slashed at by the destroyers. Anyway, as I said, that is it for today's, guys. If you have enjoyed the video, please hit that thumbs up button. I need those likes to tell or to gauge response from you guys as to whether or not you're enjoying. If you have any feedback, let me know down in the comments. Let me know what you like, what you don't like, what you would like to see, etc. And hopefully I can accommodate you. If you do enjoy these videos, hit that subscribe button and you'll get notifications, as long as you ding the bell, of weekly videos. These go up every Wednesday. Check the cards in the corner, because obviously we've got the magazine review and the video on where I paint, I believe it's this guy, one of these 2 guys, the guys with the double blades. I think it's this guy. But yeah, so obviously you'll be able to check that out on how I paint this guy up. If you have recently subscribed, huge warm welcome to the inner circle to you. Thank you ever so much for your support. It does mean a lot to me. But that is the end of the video, guys. So until next time, take it easy, keep painting those minis.